So yeah, I looked at the old version. There's a lot of things that I liked about it. It obviously was very gamer focused. This one will be the same, but what's really interesting here is that this time around, it appears to be non-negotiable that this is like the spec champion. This is the ROG Phone 2. Look at this. What an unboxing experience. It's so flashy. Like I said, it's gonna be hard to even throw that box out. First thing you see on the top, at least the way I opened it, is actually this cooling unit. How wild is that? You open this up and you reveal this pattern here when it goes on. Ooh, slides out like that. It's got some weight to it. It's no joke. This thing apparently has a 120 hertz OLED display. Is that correct, Will? Is that the spec? That's ridiculous. You got the OLED, which you want, and you got the refresh, you get the 120 hertz. Can't see too much, but you do see something that's very promising straight away, which is these front-facing speakers. See this little vent along the top with the copper finish? You know what kind of zone you're in. 48 megapixel quad Bayer. It's a 2-camera unit. I believe they have added a wide angle touch shoulder buttons there. Of course, you can map those to your favorite shooter and get a much more ergonomic grip on the device. You still have a dedicated headphone jack on the bottom. Type-C connector, which interestingly enough is off to the side. That is a very uncommon location. All right, what do we have? This is, oh, it's a case of some kind. So this is obviously different from the extra case that was included in our package, which is probably an accessory after the fact. It's got this angular design carrying the same theme through it. So it's somewhere between a case and a bumper. You still see the beautiful glass design underneath. Braided USB Type-C cable over here. Not gonna get so tangled. Plus it just has like a certain premium kind of luxury feel to it. Max 30 watts. Wow. 6,000 milliamp hour battery. That is pretty awesome. Otherwise, we got a little front-facing camera in this location right there. You know I'll be testing the selfie in a moment. I'm realizing looking at this that actually these lines in it, they change colors as it shifts light. Do you see this? So see how it's like pink, yellow, green. Look at that. Let's take a look at some of the extra stuff. So this is the mobile desktop dock. This is gonna be, I guess, the home, the hub for your device. It's got a dock. Oh, that's what that rubber thing was covering. So that will pop in like that, and that's what your dock look is going to be. So this could be on your desk. This thing has more ports than my actual laptop at the moment. That's an SD card slot, a USB source pass-through of some kind. There's a display port, Thunderbolt 3 by the looks of it. 4 USB-A ports. You have an Ethernet jack, another display port, an HDMI port, an audio out port, and a microphone in port. I think they really intend for you to have this thing docked, keyboard, mouse, and then a monitor display here. And just like, why even have a computer? So yeah, I mean, you put a keyboard and mouse on some PUBG, I don't know how good you are. Are you substantially better? But take gaming out of it, just productivity. This is cool on its own. This has an active cooling fan in it. Crazy what they're thinking about over here. I just realized that this fan adapter has a headphone output and a Type-C pass-through. Okay, next up, it's another dock. This is the Twin View dock. It comes with a fancy case. Oh, wait a second. I remember this thing. That's a display up there. It's another display. The phone docks here like this, and you get a dual display setup. It's also got a fan in it because when you're gaming, man, you gotta stay cool. Then it comes down and it locks in place, and this is your package. 15-year-old me is pretty amped up. This is too cool right now. The screen portion has probably for volume, I assume volume up, down, and a power switch. Holy moly, this is the most comprehensive phone unboxing I think ever in Unbox Therapy channel history, but it kind of makes sense because it's probably the most comprehensive phone ever. All right, so this is the WiGig Display Dock Plus, and this is the plug-and-play fast Ethernet network connection. This is going to be wireless, obviously, as the name implies. So this one has the HDMI on the back end, USB-A port, power, and a power switch. This is going to wirelessly be able to transmit to your display or television. That's pretty cool. I guess this particular adapter could plug into the USB on this port and give you a wired connection for something even more reliable if you choose to use it that way. So holy moly, that is a lot. Oh, I'm not even done yet. This one is what probably most people are interested in. The Kunai gamepad There's some kind of samurai thing going on. Bonus points. This is where the gaming really takes off, because now you got tactile controls, and maybe hardware like this encourages game developers to take advantage of it, start to put out some titles, some really compelling titles for mobile, because now people can interact in these types of formats. This is also quite Switch-like. Does this not bring you to the, you know, the Joy-Cons dock in there? A super long Type-C cable, because I suppose the intention here is you're gonna play for hours and hours. You might actually just want to stay plugged in, so you never have to worry about battery life. So they put a long braided Type-C cable in this package. How is this all gonna go down? I see a Type-C port over there, like so. Still got your cooling, still got your RGB. Now you got these 2 channels on the side you can slide the controllers into. So I assume it goes like 1. Whoa. And like 2. Look at you. Wow. You're starting to think of your phone more like a game console, like a portable game console, and less like a phone. It is still a phone, a very powerful phone. Of course, you're gonna pop it out and use it like a phone, but in this moment, you're not gonna be thinking phone. You're probably gonna turn off your notifications and get right into it, because you got R2, you got real shoulder buttons, you got real triggers. Touch controls simply can't compete with these types of controls, especially for certain types of games. I'm just so curious. The cooling still clips on. Check you out now. Who are you? You just popped this out of the bag? You know, you finished your homework? You're like, here we go. Ha ta 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 ta. Pop, 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 pop. You know what I'm saying? Mom, I finished my homework. Wow, look at those buttons. It's got M2, M1. These little extra, almost like scuff, like on a scuff controller, like scuff buttons. Oh, also almost missed this. There's a headphone jack at the bottom right there. No release, just pop it like that. All right, now these guys on this controller, bam, bam. Now watch, I'm gonna show you something here. Watch this. Boom, 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 right? Boom, to the display. And don't miss a beat. Now you're comfy. And actually, I like this even more. The triggers on this are legit triggers. Look at that. So what is it? What else does this have? What? Ah, for that reason. Look at that. A little USB dongle, which hides in the controller. It's almost too much to cover in one video right here. Options for connectivity as well. Bluetooth, USB, and Wi-Fi. You know what? It's not even over there, because how about this on the go? Boom. Boom. Up. Boom. On the go. Boom. Boom. See ya. It's too much for me to keep it all together. It's all too exciting. Okay, last accessory, because this has turned into a saga, this video. This case is solid and sturdy, and it's all that's in the package. Installation, let's see. Boom. All right, shall we boot this up? Let's go ahead and do that. Ooh, solid rumble, bit of sound. All right, so the authentication here, looks like there's a few options. You have face recognition, set up fingerprint or typical PIN. Because there's no fingerprint scanner, this is obviously one of those in-display styles. And face recognition, by the looks of it, I don't see any heavy face unlock hardware in the top beyond the front-facing camera. I'm guessing it's an optical style. Okay, so registering fingerprint, pretty standard stuff. Let's try this. Ooh. Now, this is the air trigger setup. As I mentioned previously, those shoulder buttons, I guess they call them air triggers. Set up air triggers, squeeze force level to turn on X mode to automatically optimize performance for gaming. What you're looking at here is the kind of gamer-focused skin. You can see some of the icons. It looks like it actually has Asphalt 9 pre-installed. But I've been told, at least Willy Doo tells me, that there's also going to be a stock Android version of this device, which I think opens it up to an entirely different market of people just looking for the crazy, powerful specs, maybe not necessarily gaming-centric. For the time being, though, this is what you're looking at. This is the retail version I'm looking at. Brightness, let me open up like a browser window here. Ooh, yeah, that pops. Maybe I'll do a quick comparison to the OnePlus, and they're both maxed out brightness. Ooh, that's a tough one. Now, of course, as you know, 90 hertz over here, 120 hertz over here. Do I discern a difference? I'm sure you all think I'm crazy, but I feel like I can tell the difference. I mean, it's slight, but I feel like it's kind of there. Real quick, let's get the spec list going. This thing has 12 gigs of RAM. Is that correct, Will? 12 gigs of RAM. I already told you it has a 6,000 milliamp hour battery. Massive. It's got the OLED 120 hertz display going on. It's got stereo speakers going on. The chipset, Snapdragon 855, as you would expect to have in there. The display resolution is 2340 by 1080, so it's kind of in the wheelhouse of what you'd expect for something like this, especially when you get the bonus of the OLED 120 hertz. The screen itself measures 6.6 inches from corner to corner. Here's the most important thing. You're like, okay, all phones are Snapdragon 855. I don't understand what makes this one so powerful. I get it. It has a big battery. It has 12 gigs of RAM. It's actually overclocked because of the thermal components, engineering, venting. Apparently, this thing out the gate is overclocked for performance. They're able to run the chip a little harder than you're seeing in a typical smartphone. Willie Doo's giving me the specifics. He says the overclock is to 2.96 gigahertz on a phone. You know, I was born in 1985. Almost 3 gigahertz overclock on a phone? What are we doing, guys? Let me boot up a little YouTube right quick. So we will launch into a recent Lou Later episode here. Okay, not super loud yet. Let me... Video presentation, Elon Musk, affiliated company. It has an outdoor mode. It has a smart volume mode. It has Audio Wizard. Feel the difference. Play music and create your own audio effect with a customized equalizer. You can actually customize the audio performance as well. And there's a vibration intensity setting for touch vibration. And I'm telling you, the vibration motor on here is, it's kind of bananas. Based on the presentation I watched, then I would have imagined. It's loud. I've got a OnePlus 7 Pro, so let's go ahead and I'll just boot up the exact same video because I'm curious why that sounded fresh. And not just hype, but also interest from the necessary parties. But I should also say... This sounds like I'm underwater, like it's muffled comparatively, and that's weird because I've heard other phones in the presence of the 7 Pro that sounded muffled compared to it. Again, I think this is a consequence of the legit front-firing speakers. This demonstration, people can take the top one. Granted, the wow factor when you have the bezel-less phone is big, and people do other things on their phones besides watch videos, so there is, of course, a component there. And the 7 Pro is not a bad-sounding phone. That's important to note. Let's launch into these cameras real quick. There is your main camera, standard focal range, and there's your wonderful wide angle, which I am such a big fan of. And of course, it creates a totally different atmosphere. Wide angle is useful for capturing a frame with more stuff in it. So you have typical range and you have wide angle. You know, that is a pretty nice looking photo. My finger in the preview was completely blown out and it got the detail back in the auto HDR functionality. So the camera looks like they took it into consideration. This is an early version of the device. The software may change. That and the fact that they added the wide angle, for me, makes this phone a lot more compelling as a daily driver type of smartphone. But there is an auto HDR by default, so we'll see what that does to my face. It softened my skin up. You see, this is what I'm not looking for. I'm not trying to be pretty. If I go to portrait mode, it's toggled to a level 1. I'm gonna go to a level 0, actually just off completely. So it does look possible. Let's give it a shot and see what happens. That's a bit closer, and usually what happens here is you end up with a little bit more contrast when you're able to turn the beauty mode off. From a detail perspective, like on some front-facing cameras, I can see like pores on my face, which is like a weird thing to mention. But for me, that's a good test of detail, right? Because which cameras can resolve it, which can't. This one does have a bit of smoothing. That said, the beard hair test is bananas. It does really well. And the contrast test, where usually some of these beauty modes, like they just sort of flatten things out, that's not really happening here. All right, now, obviously it's a gaming phone. Ladies and gentlemen, gaming phone. There's some gaming-centric stuff going on in here. Look at this. This pulls in from the left-hand side. It allows you to lock the brightness, turn off alerts, turn off your phone calls, manage your settings for air triggers, speed up the device. Look at this. What are we doing? We're optimizing. It's incredible. 1.4 gigs of memory released. You can record your screen. You can go live from here. Data only mode. Plus you got the FPS. You got the clock speed of the CPU. You have your temperature, 25 degrees Celsius, and X mode available. I can link for live streaming, my YouTube account, Twitch account. I can set my live streaming resolution and my audio source if I have an external one via something like a gaming headset. It's bananas. So gaming phone centric, you know they've had to put some attention into the gaming aspect from a software point of view. So you click this button in the center here and it launches. Look at that. It gets aggressive. It's yelling at you. It's growling. RGB starts popping off on the back. Look at this, just flashing between all the colors it's capable of. It's all about capabilities. This is your game's lobby. Right now, I only have Asphalt 9, which is pre-installed, but your games will show up in here, and you can set separate profiles for different games. Temperature controls, memory cleaner, game tuning, display options, the refresh rate, anti-aliasing, touch controls, sensitivity. Kirk! Holy, it's a phone, man. What? Get that sound boosted. Ooh. Now remember, at any time, this is what I love, the way they implement this. You pull in from the left, FPS, temperature, lock the brightness, turn off alerts. So you might start out, it's casual. Then things get serious. You're like, I'm going to lock those alerts. Don't bother me. Get some nitro. Woo! All right, so let's say I pull this over, get the air triggers going, and you can see here, map them down. Is that where they sort of are? So look. And that one's not even lined up that well, but it's good enough, right? Boom. So now I don't even have to touch the screen, and it's much more comfortable. Look, man, it's a cool thing, and I'm happy it exists, and I'm happy it has a huge battery, and I'm happy it has the most responsive display, and I'm happy that overclocked smartphones are such a thing. Is it going to be for everyone? No, but that's why it's interesting. That's why it's exciting, because it is so targeted at a select few. Somebody who wants something different than what every other smartphone looks like. And I promise you, they're all starting to look a lot alike. So at least this one makes some kind of statement. At least this one differentiates itself somehow. Obviously, it's so comprehensive that trying to cover it in one video is crazy. I mean, there's just the accessories in general. Like, which ones do you need? Which are the most important? I'm going to be testing out these accessories and really downloading whatever titles are currently available that I feel like could take advantage of them. And then getting to the bottom of the idea of your phone becoming your predominant computing method with a dock like that. And maybe replacing your desktop or laptop if that's even possible. But just on a baseline level, no accessories, you are looking at probably the world's fastest overall smartphone experience. They're talking about shipping it potentially with stock Android. They're already running something close to it. They're overclocking the most powerful chipset that people are looking for in smartphones. They hit it with 12 gigs of RAM. They gave you a 6,000 milliamp hour battery. And then on top of it all, a 120 hertz OLED display. So even for people who don't care for the styling, you have to be paying attention. It's probably the world's most powerful smartphone.